just how it works. Okay.
Okay.
Unknown participant is now joining.
Okay. Well, I think we're at a good enough place. Oh, hello there. We're going to get started. I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Ken Fanger. I am the president of On Technology Partners, and I've been doing this stuff for about 30 years now. I also have on the call Lucy, who is our owner. She's going to be watching for questions as we go forward, and then we will break at certain points to take questions so that if you have anything, you can get it answered at that point. I also have my Director of Operations, Michael, who's joined us. He is an expert in all this stuff, so he can correct me as I make my mistakes. Okay, if you're ready, we're going to begin. First of all, if you could, right there, you'll notice there's a little mic. If you want to click on that, just so that any ambient noise that you have going on, we don't all get to share. And then if you have questions and stuff, we can you can unmute yourself and ask your questions. Okay, obviously the reason we're all kind of here today is because the coronavirus has just absolutely changed our world. Unfortunately, not in the ways we would like, and for many of us, it's caused an awful lot amount of stress, and it's making us have to learn a new way to work. So today we're going to try and give some tips on how to manage that, and then how you can use Office 365 to be able to work through it and help bring your whole team together in a virtual way. And again, if you have questions, you can type those into the chat, which should be on the side. Actually, let me go back and show you that. So right here, if you click on this, show conversations, it'll bring up this chat window, and then you can start typing questions in there, and then we'll try and answer them as we get a chance. Okay. Let me pop back over to.
May I ask a question, Mike?
Go ahead.
Okay. I've got a bunch of stuff in the middle of my screen that's kind of blocking your what you're showing. Is there a way to move that out of the way?
There should be like a strip or a little bar thing that says minimize. You should be able to minimize it.
Okay. All right. I'll look for that. Thanks.
Okay. Okay. So I want to first talk about when we're setting up these presentations, several people told me that they've had real challenges learning how to work from home. And they asked me, what do I do? We have been a virtual company since the beginning in 1996. We have an office. Nobody ever goes to the office except for our Thursday team meetings so that we actually know we're all human beings. But there is definitely a kind of a skill to being able to work at home. It's a different environment. It's a different way to do things. And there's some techniques that I've learned that help me get through that. So first of all, I just want to talk about some of the challenges that you have. The first one is it's easy to share when you are all together in one place. It's a lot harder to share when you're working at home and somebody is 5 miles, 50 miles, 200 miles away. So we're going to go over how you can do sharing using Office 365 to help with that. The other thing is engagement. There's definitely a feeling of disconnection. I don't know if you guys are feeling it, but being at home, I usually go out to client sites. I have gone to no client sites in 2 weeks, so this has been a disengaging feeling for me. One of the other problems that people talk about is staying focused. It's easy when you're in your house to go, oh, I'm just going to go and fix that light fixture. I'm just going to go vacuum the rug. You can get defocused very quickly. So we'll talk about some little techniques to help with staying focused. And then, of course, there's staying connected and being able to collaborate. Definitely what we'll talk about through Teams today. So here is a couple of tips from what I've done over the last 30 years to stay productive in my house. First of all, you want to find a place that you can make a dedicated workspace, someplace that you feel like you're going to work, even though it's in your house. Don't put it usually in the middle of everybody else, because that can get very distracting. Something I know people that work at home can be really bad about is make sure you stop. Make sure you go do something else every so often. Don't try to work 8 hours. You don't have to, quote, be productive constantly. You will be more productive if you aren't constantly trying to do things. And then also make sure your family knows that this is work time. That, they may want to come, children might want to play, spouses might think this is a good time to have that financial conversation. You need to make sure you're explaining to them, this is when I'm working, I'll take a break, we can do something then, and then I need to get back to work. One of the reasons of having breaks in between. The other thing that I find is make a plan for the day. And don't be overly aggressive. I usually set 3 things that I like to do in a day. And if I can get those 3 things done, I feel like I accomplished. I know Lucy is a list maker, and one of the things she had to adjust in her day was she would make a list of 20 things. She'd only get to 3 or 4 of them, and she would feel like she's always falling behind. You want to make your plan, but make it reasonable and attainable. Also, make sure you know when to stop, because the other problem of working at home for people is, since you're working at home, you can work 24/7. And you do not want to do that to yourself. You want to make sure that you're only working till 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, but you set a cut time and then you stop. Go do other things. Don't work constantly. This is a little trick that I learned to kind of help make breaks into my day. I'll do things like I'll do laundry. So I'll take a load of laundry down. It'll set it for 50 minutes. Then I'll go up and I'll work for 50 minutes and I'll know that I have to go back down and change the laundry. So it kind of drives me. And that's kind of important. And I do know, and I will tell you right now, there's a lot of anxiety happening. There's also a lot of depression. So make sure you reach out to people, talk to people on the phone, keep engaged with people, because you can start to feel very isolated. I mean, again, you're not getting out of the house very much. You might only go to the grocery store. You might have been going to work every day. This is a change. You also aren't getting to do those water cooler conversations. You don't go over to somebody's office and just talk. That's all missing. You want to try and do that. And we'll actually talk about some ways with Teams to help you be able to do that. Which brings us to Microsoft Office 365 and Teams. Most of you probably have Microsoft Office. If you don't, please reach out to us. We can help you get it. But most Office 365 comes with Teams included. We were just talking with a large customer of ours, and they had asked us how they could buy Teams. Well, we explained to them they already had Teams, and we actually did a seminar for them on how to use it so that their whole company could now be productive. Didn't cost them anything extra to do it. So if you have Office 365, a lot of this is included. So today, these are the 2 things that I want to show you. First of all, I'm going to show you how to do file sharing and file syncing across all of your devices. And the big and important thing is how to collaborate. How can you work from home and feel like you're engaged with a team? So the first thing I'm going to talk about is OneDrive and SharePoint. Many of you probably heard about OneDrive. Some of you probably have heard what SharePoint is. I'll take a few minutes before we go into the actual operational side of it and kind of explain the difference. So OneDrive, I call it your personal space. When you get an Office 365 account, you get a terabyte of OneDrive space that you can use. This would be where you write your own documents, put everything together. Then SharePoint is where you have your shared files. So many of us remember the H drive or shared folder on a server. SharePoint is that. You can have multiple people having access to it at one time. You don't have to share files out. It automatically lets you have a communal place to put files. I'm going to explain SharePoint when we're actually in Teams, but I'm going to go into OneDrive right now and show you how I use it and some of the value that it brings. So first of all, I want to take 1 second here and tell you, if you type in office.com and then you put in your login credentials, you'll come up to a screen that looks something like this. Depending on what version of Office you have, these change, but this is where you can go to get all of your services. So obviously right now we're going to be talking about OneDrive. So you can go there and click on OneDrive, and I'm actually going to bop over to this. So this is my actual Office 365. Look, it told me that I have a reminder. I'm going to dismiss that. If you have an Office 365 with apps, you can install that here. But you would click on OneDrive. Now, I will tell you, because of how many people are working from home, the internet is definitely slower than it normally is. So I'm not going to click on things. I'm just going to have them pre-open and show you. But this is my OneDrive. So this is all my files. You'll see I have a desktop folder for my laptop. I'll have a desktop folder for my desktop. This is going to allow me to get to files anywhere on any device that I have. So if I need to get to a file on my phone, I can do that from anywhere in the world.
Ken, if I
And
could
I'm actually going to show you what it looks like. So this is my OneDrive on my computer. I
Ken,
have all of my documents stored in here, so I can get to those anytime. So there's my desktop, there's my documents. So let me ask all of you, have you ever had a situation where you've been storing files on your desktop and somehow your desktop got corrupted or lost and you lost those files? Well, with OneDrive, you can set it up so that every file on your desktop is automatically backed up to OneDrive. So that I actually had this happen about 2.5 years ago. My desktop computer crashed. Just the hard drive stopped working one day. Fortunately, because I had OneDrive, I had all of my files stored up into the cloud. I bought a new computer, set it up, attached to the desktop, and all my files came back. So if you set it up so it automatically is there, it's just a great simple way to be able to protect and save your documents. And again, let me show you a couple other neat things that come with OneDrive. If you notice, there's this little cloud shape, but down here there's a little checkbox. If it's a cloud shape, it means the file is only stored in the cloud. So if you have a tablet or you have a computer with one of those solid state drives that might only be 100 gig, you may not want to clutter it with all of your files. So you can set it up, and it's real easy to do. If you just right click, it says always keep on this device. If I click on that, it makes it so it always shows up and it's part on your local computer. If I click that off, whoops. So if you click up, free up space, it'll move it to the cloud. So if you want to always keep it, if you're going on a trip and you may not have internet access, you might want to pick the folders that are most important and make sure that they're always kept on this device. The other ones you might want to keep on the cloud until you use it. Now, when you use a file, it automatically, like this one is set to the cloud right now. When I double click on it and opens, hopefully it'll open quickly and there's nothing bad in test. But you'll notice, so there's that, I'm gonna close this down. It now is available on the local computer. So as you use files, they become available. If you haven't used them for 2 or 3 days, they'll automatically get migrated up to the cloud so that you're only keeping the files that you're using regularly available, saving space and storage. Okay, I want to take a moment before we move to Teams to see if there's any questions on OneDrive. Oh, one thing I guess I should have showed you that I didn't. Let me, no, here. Oh, no, sorry, that's a PowerPoint. Too many windows open, I'm sorry, I'm looking for, that's PowerPoint. That's the local OneDrive, there it is. One other thing when you are using, this is true in SharePoint and OneDrive, so you can come here. So I'm going to take this goals for 2020 and I'm going to share it. And you can share this internal or external. So if it goes to an internal person, I can do that. Or I can send it to an external person. I can send a message. Your question, Lucy? Oh, I think you're muted, Lucy. Well, let me finish this and then
Is that better?
Yes,
Is
now I
it
can hear
good?
you.
Oh, I was just gonna say, when you were clicking those, I know some people only have the audio. Could you explain where you were finding?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I forgot. Some people. So when you go, if you go out to the internet and you go to office.com, you go to OneDrive, if you go to a document, there'll be 3 dots that says show actions. If you right click on that, you get a whole series of actions from open, preview, and one of those actions is share. When you click on share, it opens up a dialog box and you can choose who you want to share it with by just typing in email addresses. So I was typing in Lucy's email, I typed in Michael's, and then I typed in my email at AT&T that is outside my organization. Now you can also go in here and click on, there's a thing on the top that says anyone with this link can edit. You can go in here and change how it's set up, including turning off allow editing. So if you just want people to read it, you can also block downloads, which is an option. So you can use this to send out information, not let them open it up or download it, not let them edit it, depending on what you want it to do. So if it's something they have to read but they shouldn't change or take, you can use this to do that. You can even set a password because this is set that anyone with the link can open it. But if you want them to have to get your password, you can create a password here. So this is true in both SharePoint and OneDrive, so you can share files. In fact, we actually, one of the people on this call is in my BNI group, and we're actually using this function to do our. So I have, let me actually, that was kind of neat, so I will show it. So in here, under my documents, I have this BNI folder, and then we every week have our BNI meetings, and he was able to go in and automatically edit and set up his presentation, which now is going to be slow, but that's okay. So you could see the things that he made, and he put all this in himself. So that is a real quick overview of OneDrive and how you can share files. You can work together in a document. Like I said, that PowerPoint, we're working at the same time. So you do have joint sharing and joint editing. Let me go back here. Oh, yes. One other thing. If you click on the sync button when you're on your OneDrive or in a SharePoint library, it'll make those folders available on your desktop. Okay.
And
So now we're here to talk about Teams.
Ken,
Yes?
where can you find the sync button?
I'm sorry, say again?
Where do you find that sync button?
That sync?
Yes.
Okay, let me show you exactly where it is.
And if you
So
can
in here,
explain,
so
if
click
you can
on
explain for the
OneDrive.
audio.
So you go out to office.com and you click on where it says OneDrive, and where it says OneDrive will open up your OneDrive folder on the cloud. Then on the very top, just below the menu bar, there's a bar that says New, Upload, Sync, or Flow. So what you do is you click on Sync. And when you click on Sync, it'll open up or download, depending on if you've installed it or not. If you have Windows 10, it's automatically installed. You'll open up what's called your OneDrive app, and then that will make it so that it becomes visible on your computer. And then if you go into your Windows thing on Macintosh, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's in your Open Apple. But on the Windows, it'll show up under OneDrive and the name of the OneDrive. So you can have multiple OneDrives on one computer. Like I work with Jumpstart. I work, obviously, our company. So I could set up all of those OneDrives if I wanted to. And then if it is a SharePoint, you'll see it'll show up under the name of the company itself with whatever folder is attached. Hopefully that makes sense. And again, if you who are just listening in, we'll send you some documents on this. And if you have any questions, we can take you through how that works. Okay. I want to first take a moment here and explain that Teams is a collaboration environment. So it's a little different than Zoom, which is a presentation environment. You probably all see I keep getting bad network quality. The internet's been a little slower these few days. Teams is here to help you and your team work together. That was the primary reason it was built. So unlike Zoom, which was built to present to lots of people, Teams was envisioned to be a smaller group environment. You can do up to 250 people on a team, but most of the time it's smaller than that. Again, if you go to office.com, you'll see all the applications listed out. One of them is going to say Teams. In the picture, it is circled here. I'm going to actually go into our, and I'm just making sure that I see what's coming next. Actually, I do want to show you one thing before I go into the Teams app. Oh, wait, that's the wrong one. So what we're actually going to talk about, there are 5 main applications in Teams. There's activities. You'll find all of these along the left-hand side when you open up your Teams app. There's chat, there's Teams, there's calendar, there's calls, and there's files. We're only going to focus on today talking about chat, Teams, and calendar. And we're going to start with what chat is. So chat is a great way to keep connected with your different teams. So over here, hopefully, give me a second. I want to see what this chat is before I go into it so I don't have something I'm not supposed to share. Yep, this is just, the chat is, so here we go. We have a whole series of chats. So you can come in here and very simply, you can right click, you can create a new chat. You can start typing the name of the people that you want to be in the chat. And then you can start sending quick chats to them. So if you wanted to get your group together and send a quick message, we are doing. Okay. So I can send this off and they'll get that. You can share files through this if you want. If it still works. It's just being bad right now. But you can usually go in and change it so that you can actually give it a name. But that's as quickly as you can create a group chat. So you can use this if you want to talk to somebody without having to take the time to send emails. I don't know about you guys, but I think I have 185 emails and I cleaned my email box out yesterday. So sending me an email might get a delay of up to 3 days while I get through everything. I respond to this very quickly. It puts the most important thing right there. So it keeps your team very much engaged as you move forward.
Ken, you can click the little pencil next to the names there.
Oh, there it is. Thank you. So we're going to call this so now you know the training team group is there to have conversations. Okay. I'm going to jump over to the calendar first, and then we'll go back and talk about teams. So the first thing I want to show you is this calendar and my calendar are synced. So when you open this up, it's going to show you your personal calendar. So if I come over here and I go to my Outlook, here's my calendar for the day. You see there's that event. I have a call with Cleveland Public Power later today. And then you come back over to Teams, you see the same thing. Today, we're in the middle of this event. I've got a call with Cleveland Public Power. So there's 2 features here. Obviously, we're in the middle of a meeting, so I don't want to do it. But let's say you just want to grab 2 people and have a quick meeting. You can click on Meet Now. It'll ask you to join your meeting. And then it will show you Invite Others up here. As you type it, it will call that person, reaching out to them either through their computer, or you can. One of the nice things about this is there is a phone app for both Android and Microsoft, or not, for Apple. Really get on a call and use your phone to do the video conference. So this gives you that way to have a quick ad hoc call whenever you need it. So it gives you that kind of stepping into somebody's office type of experience. Then the next thing is new meeting. There are two different types of meetings. The first one that most of us will do is called just scheduled meeting. That will support up to 250 users. And the next one is live event. That will support up to 10,000 participants. So that if you want to do kind of a webinar experience, but the people that are attending, they don't get to have call-in video or audio. They can only watch and hear. If they want to ask a question or something, they have to type it to you. So when you do schedule a meeting, so we're going to schedule a meeting here. Show the great meeting value. So I can now invite people. And it is possible to invite somebody that's not in your organization. If they do not have Office 365, what it's going to do is when they log in, it's going to ask them to create a free Microsoft account. They just create the free Microsoft account and then they can get in. So you can have people in your organization. If the people outside your organization are Office 365 users, they'll get the full Teams experience so they can be part of it directly as opposed to going through the web app. Then you pick the time. You can pick if it repeats. You can set that for custom. You can add a Teams channel, meaning you can have everybody from our Cleveland LED light project show up if they want. If it's an in-person meeting, you can put that. I put virtual, and you can put notes. And I'm going to send this. It's going to send a bunch of emails out. But now if you notice, it says right there is my meeting to show the great meeting value. But also if I go back to calendar, and this does take, oh, it showed up really nice. So there it is.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
Yep, we just lost somebody. I'm going to cancel this meeting. But you can see very quickly how these are synchronizing across all of my applications. So, and I apologize to anyone who is just listening in. Let me go back and explain. When you are on Teams, there's a calendar app on the left-hand side. You click on that. And then in the upper right, you click on New Meeting, and you can create a meeting calendar invite. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to show you. Let's see, where did my, oh, I know, I have to, whoops. Okay,
Ken?
yes,
Okay,
Okay.
there's a question on the calendars.
sure.
How long are the contents of the calendar held in storage before they're dropped?
Your calendar is stored until you delete it or you fill up your, I think it's 150 gig of mail space. I'm not sure if that answers the question or not. Michael, is there anything else you want to add on that?
Well, I mean, is this, oh, I'm sorry. I think.
No,
Go ahead.
no, you're right, Ken.
So yeah, so pretty much it's fairly unlimited. You can have as many calendar items as you want for the most part.
Yeah, and just the space is 50 gigabytes by
50 gig.
default, unless you have a upgraded account.
Okay.
Then a follow-up question, is the calendar the only way to launch a meeting?
No, you can just go and click on Meet Now. The calendar is how you schedule a meeting if you want a meeting not immediately. So in here, I couldn't do it, but in here, if you clicked on Meet Now, that would start the meeting immediately.
So those are the two ways to set a meeting.
Those are the two ways to set a meeting, yes.
Okay.
I can also add, if you're used to using Outlook, the application, and you're used to using your Outlook calendar, and you have the new Office 365 version of Office within Outlook itself, in the Outlook calendar, you can schedule your meeting, and you can also click the button that says this is a Teams meeting. So there is a add-on in Outlook that also allows you to select Teams meeting in there, so you can schedule them not just in the Teams app, but also in Outlook.
Okay. So now I'm going to take a few minutes and explain some of the different features of the actual Teams environment. This is not going to be an exhaustive. We just want to make sure that we kind of explain the basics here. So first of all, I don't know, hopefully you all can see this. There's a bar that shows up when you move your mouse in Teams. It shows how long the meeting has been going. It shows an option to turn off video. It shows an option to turn off audio. It shows where you can share. It's a little box with an arrow. Mine has an X because I'd have to stop sharing. Next to that are a series of more actions. We'll get into those in a minute. Then you can show conversation. So you can see everybody is able to talk and exchange chats during this. You can show the participants. You can hang up your call. And now I want to show you a couple of these neat functions inside of the more settings option. So I don't know if all of you can see, we have a little guest behind me who is visiting. It's Dino Bunny. He has come along, and I'm not sure if I want you all to see. So I'm going to go up to this blur my background. That's really handy if you are doing a presentation and you don't want people to see what's behind you. If you're working at home, you want to make sure that nobody walks out of the bathroom unexpectedly. If you're working in an office, you may not want to display your charts and boards that are behind you. This wipes all that out so that people can't see what you're doing. And it's real easy. You just come in here and you click on blur or don't blur, and it wipes out the background. So if any of you want to try that quick, you can go ahead and try and see if you can blur out the background. Okay, also in here, the live caption we have not worked with yet, but I've heard that it'll actually try and capture what people are saying and then print it. So if you do have a problem hearing, you could use that. We're going to have to test that out because that's a fairly new feature. And of course, you also have the ability to record. You see, we are recording this presentation right now. It lets you be able to record presentations. And I think if I show participants, if you are the presenter, you can mute everybody. You cannot unmute somebody. You have to ask them to unmute, but you can mute everyone. So if you're having the thing and you're having a conversation, you need people to be quiet, you can use that to get everybody to be quiet and then ask each one to unmute themselves. Are there any questions on how to do the basics of Teams? Video chat. Nope. Okay. Then we are going to talk about the Teams environment. And this is where we'll talk about SharePoint. Again, there's a lot of features in here. Into all of them, I'm actually going to do something really bad. I'm going to delete this team so you can see what happens when you delete it, remake it. So it's important to understand if you do ever delete a team, in the team. If you do need backup solutions, we have those available. We can talk about that at a later time. It's gone. So what you can do is under Teams, these are your active teams, and you can have a whole bunch of other teams that you may not be active in. Right now we have a company HSolve that we're working on. I have set up for one of our clients to show them how to do it. We have a company-wide Teams environment that everybody in the with, and then we have an executive group that is just the management team. So I'm going to create a Wednesday team. Go down to the lower left, it'll say join or create a team. If you know a team, you can enter it, or you can join a team that is a public team. We'll explain what public is here in a second. So we're going to build a team from an existing group. So if you have a group you want to mimic, you can use that to do it. So when you pick that you're creating a team, you get three choices. You get private, which is what most people probably will do because you decide who you invite to the team. You have public. That would be a team like you saw Team Allen. Anybody in the company can join it if they want. And then there's organizational wide, and that makes everybody in your organization join the team. So we did that when we did On Technology Partners team, but for most teams, to create a private team. So the first thing you're asked to do is name the private team. Great group, and you can give it a description. So when this is done, it's going to ask you what members would you like to have join your team. Ask Lucy to join, and that's going to be it. Then you'll know a member can work on files, do chats, but a member cannot add or remove members or change rights. So I'm going to make Lucy an owner. And then close this. So now you see the Great Wednesday group has been created. The first thing we have, you can do chats for this group. And then now everybody in this group will see, or this team will see this chat. So you can chat back and forth as a team. The other thing that you get automatically is a file storage space. So I'm going to show you, remember I talked about that sync? You can also use it here in Teams. So it's right on the top in the menu bar, right next to new and upload, you'll find sync. So you can see what happens. Hopefully it'll work without any problems with the internet being the way it is. I think that was it. Let's see. So you see now it says the Great Wednesday group, and it showed up. So now if I find a file, we're going to go back and grab a file here. I'm just grabbing a file from my computer. And I'm going to grab, we're going to grab this meeting thing. We're just going to drag it right up there. And we're going to copy it in. So there's the thing. You see those two, a blue circle, or blue arrows going in a circle means that it is synchronizing up with the cloud. So if we come back to here, it probably will take a few minutes, but if we were to come back here, we're going to go look at some other things while this is happening. But when it comes back, you'll see the files in here. You can do a wiki, which is kind of a place longer chats. I've never used this function, but it does automatically come when you do that. And if you are an owner, I'm going to show you a couple more features in actually managing, because if you're an owner, you might want to invite other people. Somebody new gets hired, somebody gets let go, you have to make adjustments. There's always these three dots next to a team. If you click on it, you can hide it if you don't want to see it. But the most important thing you'll probably get is managing the team. So you can come in here, you see there's two people. I can add another member. So I'm going to add Mike. And again, he gets added as a member. We're going to leave him as a member. So now, and you can invite guests, again, just by typing email addresses. So you'll see those will show up down here. So it is that easy. You can also have requests if somebody wants to come in. There's no request, but people could ask to join a team. But you can come in here and change who is in your team. Because let's say I didn't want Mike in there. I just get rid of him. And then he's gone. So this is how you add and remove members from a team. And now we're going to go back down here. We're going to see if this caught up. Yes. So you see that document that I moved on my computer has showed up in the you can, I'm not going to go into much details, but you can have multiple channels under a team. So if you have people working on different parts of a team project, those can all be built out. Another quick thing that I just want to show you, because I know we're going to run out of time here, is there are other applications.
Unknown
One of the
participant
ones
is now exiting.
that I like is this planner. So if you click on, there's a little plus on the top of the Teams bar. If you click on that, it gives you the ability to add different functionality. Again, planner is a way to add tasks to a team. So if you have a project or a series of projects, you can put a planner in there and then list out the series of projects. Okay, any questions on using a team in Teams?
I have a question. This is Rita Sukola from Michael invited me from Northern Ohio Academy. How are you?
Hi there, how you doing?
Doing good, doing good. I have a question regarding, I understand the file sharing and working through them as a team. Is there like a whiteboard? Let's say, you know, I want to explain a math problem to my students. Is there that option anywhere? Like a
Michael, I'll let you take that.
Yes.
That's getting into Teams Academic.
Yes, absolutely. The answer is yes. There is a whiteboard. It's I'm not sure that they have it built into Teams yet, but they have the whiteboard app as part of the academic package. So if you go to office.com and when you log in, you are going, and if you don't see where you see, where you pull up office.com where you have the list of all your applications, there's a link or there's a button in there that allows you to click all apps with an arrow.
I
So
see.
yeah, if you don't see it in there, you will click that and you're going to find the whiteboard app.
Okay, I see it. Okay. Okay, I will try to play around with that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yes, this is one of the things why it's good to have multiple people on that know different parts of the product. But yeah, there's a whole series of additional applications that many of you probably have with your Office 365 that you didn't even know existed. If you click on all apps, it'll open that up for you. Okay, other questions?
May I ask one?
Yeah, you can ask anything you want.
Okay. If I wanted to show my screen or see my my client's screen, if we were trying to exchange ideas back and forth, and I could record it at the same time, that's possible with Teams, right?
You mean both screens at the same time or trading off?
No, trading off back and forth.
Yes. So do you see in, I don't know if you can see mine or not. Let me come back here.
Like if I was trying to do a demonstration and then I wanted to see what his ideas were or her ideas.
Okay, so you can see my screen right now. Do you see
Yes.
this button right here?
Yes. Stop sharing.
On your
yes.
computer, it should look like an arrow pointing, correct?
Yes, I don't have that option now probably because I'm not the meeting organizer, right?
Well, no, if I stop
Yeah.
sharing, you should share. I can stop sharing if you want to try it.
Okay.
He may not have the option because he's in as a guest to our meeting.
Oh,
But if you
okay.
set up a meeting and you actually put the list of participants, those
Okay.
participants will have more functionality than the guests.
Got it.
Okay, that makes
Go ahead,
sense. Okay, so yeah, we can test that out later, Michael, or
Mhm.
Mike,
Okay.
if you would like. Okay. Let me jump back here. Okay, this is kind of a really neat thing that Microsoft is doing. They are letting us offer Teams for free for 6 months at anybody that wants it. So if you don't have Teams, if you don't have Office 365 right now, contact us and we can get you set up with Teams up to 1,000 licenses. So you can do whatever you want pretty much as far as that goes. Now, I will tell you, you don't have very much file sharing capability. I think it's only 50 gig or something or less, but it still will let you get started. And right now, with everybody trying to figure out how to work from home, it's a great starting point. We are doing this every Wednesday. The next one is coming up April 1st. We plan on continuing to do this until the crisis is over as our way of helping people. So we would love, if you want to come back, you're more than welcome. And also, if you'll share this with others so people know that we're doing this, this is the best way for us to grow this opportunity for people. And if your company would like a training session, more in depth, any of that, we can schedule an actual training session. Obviously, we will not come out on site. We will do it over Teams, but we can do a little more in depth and work with your team to understand and experience how this works. You can reach us. There's our phone number or info@ontechpartners.com, or you can send us a contact at ontechnologypartners.com/contact. We also are actually, Mike Saxon can attest to this better than even I can. We have our Smart VPN, which is a small appliance that we can put in that will let a small office be able to get VPN secure access from anywhere in the world. He actually, I can't remember, Mike, where were you at that you needed to get
Portugal.
in? Portugal. He was in Portugal and he needed to get to a file that was on his computer to get to it.
I
So
used
it
my
is
used my smartphone and was able to access it in moments.
So if anybody's interested, or you know somebody that might be interested, please have them contact us. Again, all the contact information is there. We would love to help people get these out to help them during this time. One thing that I've been telling everybody, I probably should have put this at the front, but I'll put it at the back. When you do share your screen, be careful what you're sharing. Like I said, if you're on camera, there might be people doing things behind you that you don't want to share. I have had people share their computer screens and they had some interesting tabs up that they probably didn't want the world to know. Always make sure you close anything you don't want people to see. If you've ever talked with Microsoft, they'll ask you to close everything. Think of it that way. You're about to share this to the world. You don't know who could be on a call. Don't put things you don't want the people to see. Okay, that is the end of my formal presentation. If there's any other questions, and I hope everybody learned something useful and this was enjoyable.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
No
Thank you, Ken.
problem.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I have a quick question, Ken.
Thank you.
Thanks. Go ahead.
What is the cost for additional storage? Like if it comes, I think the OneDrive was it 100 gig or? it
It's a
comes with that?
terabyte.
A terabyte. But for like the calendars and stuff, it's 50 gig. If you wanted to up that to like 2 terabytes or 3 terabytes, do you do that directly through you or through Microsoft?
You can up it through Microsoft. I have to look at what the pricing for additional space is.
Okay, I was just curious. Okay.
Yeah, no, Microsoft can get interesting when it's not a straightforward purchase. I will find out and get you what the pricing is for each additional terabyte. I think it might be $2 or $4 a month per terabyte, but I'll check that.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
No, I'm okay. Thank you
Okay.
for your help.
Well, then we will let everybody go. We thank you for coming today, and hopefully you found this very informative. And we will send out, I'll probably work on that tomorrow, to send a copy of the recording and also our documentation relative to Teams to help you or your group. And if anybody's interested in a private training session, just let us know.
Thank you so much, Ken.
Thank you,
Thanks.
everyone. Have a good one.
Yes, have a great day.